Today's show is brought to you by tintackers.com, your source for sweet aluminum beer signs from your favorite craft breweries. tintackers.com carries hundreds of official brewery signs that you can choose from to enhance your brew room, bar, or lounge area. Make your walls happy by visiting tintackers.com today and use our promo code HOMEBREWER to receive $10 off your first order over $30. That's tintackers.com and use our promo code HOMEBREWER.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
And hello and welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Charleston, as well as below me, I think you got a haircut recently, you're looking kind of suave, Mr. Todd Burns, Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Good. I'm actually in Todd's normal spot because I'm up here at HQ, and Todd is in his office, which James had to remind me that you did it from there last week too, because I didn't leave you a microphone, did I?
Yeah, I should have gone home and done it from my home office.
You could have, but
That's okay.
I think sounds good. The lighting could be better, but I'm nitpicking at that point. You look good. I appreciate y'all taking the time. We have it's Friday, so James is brewing. I want to go over that first because, well, first I want to follow up on your Czech Dark Pilsner because I'd like to have it on tap. I'd like to enjoy it. What is the status of that? And then also, what are you brewing today?
It's going to get kegged today. And then I'm brewing actually a Dunkel. So I had some Munich malt left over. So I thought, what could I brew? So I had a little Vienna malt and some Carafa too. And instead of using, normally on Dunkel, you'd use a little bit of wheat malt. But I added a little Caravan. Gives it a little body and sweetness. We'll see how it turns out. It's kind of a throw together recipe. And
I know, Todd, you have Kolsch of James's up at your barn, but why haven't you last night, James, let me just give you the scenario. I get to the barn from work. I'd gotten up here late Wednesday night, but not enough to it was too late to want to have a beer. I was tired. I have my rotten.
What?
I know.
What's that mean?
I know. It was like almost midnight. I'm an old man, and I had the rotten black or chocolate lab, Murray, who's crashed out over here in this office, but he, we get there late, and I didn't think anything of it. Yesterday, we get back from work, and nothing's on tap besides a little bit, barely any breakfast stout. And then there's his second keg of the alt beer, the Dorst Hornbush alt beer. So fortunately, I had a great night of alt beer because I didn't want to drink all his breakfast stout. But Todd, you have some explaining to do. What happened? You had 6 beers on tap when I was here 12 days ago.
We drank it.
Who's we?
Oh, see, you got some explaining to do.
Who is we?
It was Thanksgiving. We had a lot of people here. It was we had a lot of family. We drank it.
Oh my goodness, man. I was so heartbroken because that sweet milk stout, which again, I have a keg of it at home. So
now listen, it has been difficult, James. Difficult. Not to keg your Kolsch and put it in my kegerator, but I have definitely, one of the reasons I haven't kegged it is I don't want to keg it unless I can bring it to you right then.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Well, you'll kegerator. I know what's going to happen.
You'll have a keg to take home with you on that because I'm going to filter it today. I have one filter left, so you'll have a keg of that Czech Dark Pills.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess that'll be great. And then we've already drank all the Kolsch, so all the Kolsch is gone except for your Kolsch.
Yes.
Your
yes. Yeah.
So when I keg
put it on your tap if you need it. You got more company than I do.
No.
You need it,
They're
dude.
spoiled and
James,
they drank all my beer already.
yeah, James, you need it. It is.
Drank all the beer opening weekend. So
No, I was there opening weekend. We didn't drink that. See, don't blame. It was you, Todd. You drank all the beer.
opening weekend, we drank that keg of Kolsch the first night.
Oh, my bad. I forgot we brought it. You're right. The Yingling clone was very popular too. They didn't.
The Yingling lasted till the second night, so we drank 10 gallons of beer in 2 nights.
Yeah, and it was just me and Todd. But anyway,
I still have Yingling,
A lot of
the
guys.
alt beer, and the milk stout on tap at home.
Oh my God, that's a great.
You don't have
combo.
as many. I have too many guests.
Here lately, it's just me, mate. Sometimes my brother-in-law will come by or a friend, but there's been times when I actually pulled it out because I was tired of drinking it.
Yep. Oh yeah, I don't. My dad, I know he's listening to this and he's going to deny it. I think he stopped taking growlers of our beer with him to poker night and stuff because I was giving him a hard time because he would take a growler and then like a few weeks later I come and the tap would, we'd float and I'd be like, how did we go through that? He's like, I don't know, man. You must have drank it all. And then I'd be like, did you take growlers of this with you to poker? He goes, it's a half a gallon every time, Pop. It's a half a gallon every time.
But it still reminds me of Todd had an employee and it was usually when we brew beer, we'd leave it on the kegerator.
I love this story.
In the brew room and Todd would look at me and I'd look at him because they go out real quick.
Fast,
and I know Todd was thinking, you're drinking too much beer, James. And I was thinking, Todd, you're drinking all the beer.
Yeah, both.
Well, it's so funny. I know we've talked about this before, but I come to work and he says, get in here. And I'm like, what did I do? And I went in there and he told me he'd caught him with one of those great big soda things that holds like a half a gallon. It's like a handheld growler.
Yeah, like an extra big gulp.
Yeah. And he had the door open, right? The back door, the kegerator's right next to it. He had the door open. He had stretched over and he was filling his thing up at 9:00 in the morning.
He was sneaky, man. He would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you.
He cleaned all the kegs. No wonder it took so long, right? So,
You're like, why do we keep having issues with these kegs, man?
Well, and he looked at me and he goes, you know what the worst part about that is? And I'm thinking, they're drinking our beer. Yeah. He goes, no, it's 9 a.m. in the morning.
Like, oh yeah, that part too. Yeah, that too. No, you're right.
He's drinking our beer.
Drinking our beer. I know Todd probably understood that too because I forget if it was the alt beer. We had just kegged it right before opening weekend, and I was like, "Why don't we take a keg of that too?" And he's like, "Look, these guys, my friends, they don't appreciate this beer like we do. They can have the Yingling and the Kolsch." I was like, "Oh, okay,
that's true." Yeah.
But I do have to apologize to my pop and my family because I've gotten to the point of being a Nazi about it, where like even at Thanksgiving. Oh, well, they had beer, which, by the way, my aunt and my uncle and my cousin brewed a really good, the Northern English Brown Ale, and that turned out real well. We've had that as a Patreon select recipe, and they also had, oh, goodness, what was the other beer? Oh, a red ale, and both phenomenal. So when they told me they had plenty of beer on tap, I was like, oh, we don't have to take any. But I think my dad probably read that as like, we're not taking any because they have beer. We're not going to give them any of our beer because that breakfast stout is so good. Oh, that breakfast stout's so good. And I only had one pour from Todd's. I drank a bunch of the alt beer because he had it. I had one little, what is an alt glass? I always mess it up. It's 8.5 ounces.
Something like that, yeah.
Todd, roughly how many ounces is an alt glass?
Yeah, around that.
Well, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I remember Kolsch it depends. There's different size alt glasses. There's 200 and there's 300, I think. And there's even a 400, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought they had the, wait, I can't see because I can't have my glasses on.
Oh, yeah. It's like, Todd, get your glasses on too. It probably says like 0.2 liter.
0.25 liters.
0.25. Yeah, that's like
2.5.
Yeah, that's like a little under 9 ounces.
Yep. It's actually 0.25 L.
Yes.
In Germany, they don't use periods. They use the comma.
What's up with that, guys? And get with feet and inches. But anyway, So that I'm trying to think of where I was to segue. Oh, we were talking about employees boozing it up on the clock. That has nothing to do with my rest of my small talk. If you were listening, we and the bumper this week's episode is brought to you by Tin Tackers. I bring it up in the small talk to remind y'all we have beer signs for Patreon members in our recipe receiving tiers of patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. And they turned out really nice. Everyone who has in those tiers, if you're in the $50 tier and you get a recipe every month, you're getting it with your recipe kit this month, which the two choices are between the, oh goodness, I have to find what the recipe choices were. Now I'm blanking. In my
notes. By the way, while he's looking for that,
yeah,
250 milliliters is 8.45351 ounces. So about 8.5 ounces.
It's the sweet melt. You get to choose between the sweet melt stout, is one for sure. And why the internet's always slow when I need it to not.
The sweet milk stout is one that I just ran out of. It just went 2 days ago. Boy, that was a good beer. That's a
really good.
Super good beer. And then the other option, I was going to say Schwartz beer. I was like, no, that was last month. The Lord of the ESB. I knew it was. That's a homebrew supply recipe.
Good beer too. I've brewed that before.
And when's the last time that we've had ESB on tap? It's been too long. I don't know.
Choose between those two. I don't know if I could choose.
Yeah, I think we need to get Todd to brew another one because he's the best on
when you guys
ESB.
did that ESB on the cooler brew, and I'm always reminded of that because that video. So first off, James, your video just hit over 100-something thousand views on your comparison video, and y'all's combined video where y'all both did the cooler brew day for that ESB is almost at 100,000 now. And every time I get a notification for a comment on it, I'm like, oh, do you remember how good that ESB was that y'all did?
It was one of the best homebrews I've ever had.
It was so good. So we need another. And
that's that recipe, the one that we're doing.
Correct.
This month.
Yeah. Or no. You brewed the true to style.
We were doing the true to style.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the true to style that we're doing.
No, it's called Lord of the ESB. It's a homebrew supply. Okay. It's one of Lorena's recipes.
We'll have to try that one next then.
Absolutely. And which is funny because do y'all remember when we were trying ESBs at some booth at HomebrewCon and she didn't like it because Fuggles are too earthy for her? Do you remember? I don't know if y'all remember that.
She can't stand Fuggles.
She doesn't like Fuggles. Yeah.
So which is funny to have her do that because I'm assuming that the Lord of the ESB comes with it. That's pretty standard with an ESB. Fuggles gives it that.
It either Fuggles or East Kent Golding
is what standard. Yeah. So I don't know then what comes with that one. I know Fuggles definitely comes with our true to style because I remember looking at that recipe. But anyway, you can get more information at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join any of those tiers. If you're a member of any tier and you want it, you can message me through Patreon or email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com and we'll sell it to you. I'll send you a PayPal invoice for $15 that just covers our shipping, and we'll get you a beer sign sent out for you. And please tag us if you follow us on Instagram and you take photos of your brew space with our signs. Please tag us because
they can buy it on Tin Tackers as well.
And that's what I was going to say. And if you're not a member, we highly encourage you to go to tintackers.com. They've stocked it as well on there, which I was flattered. And then it turns out that, they do that with every design. I thought they just wanted to, I thought they just liked our design. I was like, they think we're something special. But Jen over there at Tin Tackers is a very small operation, very cool person. And Todd, you have your whole office wall is full of Tin Tackers.
I have greatly supported Tin Tackers over the years. I have a lot of them at work. I have a lot of them at home. I probably have, not every single one of these is from Tin Tackers, but some of them I bought actually at the breweries. But I think I have 20 on my wall here, and I don't know how many at home. I would say the vast majority of those are from Tin Tackers, and they've always been really a great company to deal with. I really like their stuff.
Yeah,
they got a cool website.
They do.
Yeah, tintackers.com. Yeah.
Yep.
They do. They have really cool stuff on there. And I was happy that we worked something out for them to be able to sponsor this. And if y'all go to their site and again, use promo code homebrewer, you'll get $10 off of your order of $30 or more, which is a heck of a deal. And you'll also realize their stuff's affordable. So if you spend, I don't know, $60 and then the shipping, you're going to have a handful of signs, and taking 10 off of that, we will be, we're happy to help you save some money. So anyways, fellers, I have 3 questions for us for this week's episode, or pardon me, 4. Man, I'm just having to correct myself all episode. Brain farting over here. Anyway, so we'll start the questions off right now with our first one coming from our friend Ryan B., who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Ryan wrote, "Hey Joshua, today is December 1st, and I am thinking about brewing this weekend to have a fresh keg on Christmas Day. What do you recommend I brew that will be ready in time to keg on Christmas Eve? I have a new foundry and I ferment in my closet, if any of that helps. Cheers." I had to take his question. It was a few days ago. This is important information. And we don't care what you do in your closet, man. That's between you and whatever. But James, I want to ask you, because you're the man that I go to when I need to help. Like, hey, if I wanted beer by X date, what do you think I should brew? A lot of the times, I think we all agree it's going to be an ale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of ale would you maybe recommend to Ryan?
I would do a Kolsch.
I like
this time of year. Everybody likes it. We literally brewed on a Friday and we're drinking it the next Friday. Do y'all remember that?
I do, very much so.
And because it's such a light beer, it tasted great.
Todd, if I know Kolsch is my answer, so that's why I'm going to kick it to you. If you had a suggestion,
if he wants a Christmas beer, that Sierra Nevada clone we have is great. I just brewed it. It finished very quickly. I'm still cold crashing it, but I could drink it right now. I mean, I didn't let you try it last night because I knew what would happen. So I'm going to check it again tonight. I might actually go ahead and keg it pretty soon because it's done. And it wasn't that long ago. It was 2 weeks ago that I brewed it. So
it was the same time I brewed the Czech.
So I don't know if he's specifically looking for a Christmas style beer, but that would be a good one. Almost all the Christmas style beers we have on the websites are ales, if I remember.
They are.
Right. So, and some of those really dark ales, one nice thing about them is even if you don't clarify them quite as long, they're so dark, you don't really see it as much. It can get muddy if it's not clear enough. But
yeah,
I think a lot of those beers, if you brewed it right away, it would be ready for Christmas. It's the 4th. We're getting to the end of the wire now. It may be a little tough to get it ready, but yeah.
Yeah, and Ryan, I apologize.
I think it could be done.
If Ryan, if you were planning on buying a kit from Homebrew Supply or kegconnection.com, I apologize. I recorded this not only a day after we normally do, but it is pushing the line. Todd, what do you think though? Because I agree that beer is going to turn out great. The way when Joe did it last year was phenomenal. Maybe a beer that doesn't require dry hopping would ensure that he turns it around quicker because
that's true.
Yeah. Definitely, because that's going to take extra days to do. A lot of times when I dry hop, I want it to set in the wort for at least 5 days.
Right.
Yeah, and I screwed up everything you could possibly screw up when I brewed this beer. My dip tube pulled out of my system, and I got half the grain in my boil kettle, and then I had to drain the beer I had to pull the beer off my kettle, strain it, get all that out, put it back in there. I was going to brew like a 16-gallon or 17-gallon batch, and I ended up putting like 11 gallons in the fermenter. I made every mistake you could possibly make, and then even dry hopping, I kind of I got ready to dry hop and realized I didn't have any bags. I don't like to just throw them in there because I don't want to have to unstick my dip tube every 5 minutes when I'm pouring beer. So I always put them in a bag now. I didn't have a bag. So I literally threw them in the dry hop, left them for 2 days and cold crashed it, which I read a big article about it a while back, and they did a blind taste test, and most people couldn't tell the difference between dry hop and cold and dry hop and warm, but some could. So I kind of did a mix. I took a couple of days, and then the rest, I'm just going to leave it in there the whole time it cold crashes. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping everything clarifies out and I'm good to go.
I'm interested to see how it turns out too, because like I said, it's the same recipe that Joe did last year, and it was a pretty big hit at the Christmas party. I remember people enjoying it a lot. And you didn't have to tell. I was there live for your brew day mess ups. It was because I had to help you carry grain bags out, and then you had the nerve to spill beer on my mixing board and ruin it. So that was just a really
That's so wrong. That's so wrong.
I'm gonna go check my beer real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I have spilled beer like on your shit so many times I can't even count them all. But that was you, buddy. That was all you.
And you even made a comment to me. My favorite thing was like, if I had been the one to do that, do you know how he would be acting right now if it was me? Like,
which is absolutely 100% true.
Oh yeah, I hate
100%.
Yeah, because when you touch my stuff,
good.
I get pissed. Yeah, is it going?
Good.
Yep, I'm at Sparge temp right now.
Dang, man. I love, James' brew days are usually very efficient. That's why when you're over at the barn, yeah, you say that comparatively speaking to mine.
There's usually one big thing. Like last week, I spilled a whole bunch of wort all over the place.
And we'll leave it at that. Yeah. So to wrap up Ryan's question, I have to agree with Mr. Carlson here that a Kolsch would be, I think it's a people pleaser. It's appropriate all
Simple
year
to brew.
round. It's very simple to brew. I can attest too, it's easy to mess up, but just hit your numbers and keep things at temperature and you won't mess it up. But,
I'm reading his question. I actually pulled it up and he doesn't specifically ask for a Christmas beer. So I will second that. That would be probably the fastest one you could brew. Yeah.
So there you go, man.
And another thing to think about too is, how I always talk about that 10-inch filter that I use. I got off of Amazon. Get you one of those 10-inch housings and fittings, and then a 1 micron filter. And then once it's done in your primary fermentation, you can go ahead and filter your beer, put it in your kegs, and you can let it set and condition in the kegs.
And then life will be good. Because on Christmas Day,
run out of patience and force carb it and drink it.
I said nothing's better on Christmas Day than opening,
Right.
tapping a nice fresh batch of Kolsch. I have like a case of fruit in my beer fridge, and for listeners who might be taking notes from every other episode, yes, I always have a case. I replenish it pretty frequently. And there's someone recommended, it wasn't Reisdorf because that's pretty easy to get. Sooner, SU with the umlaut, NNER. They're like, you
I've
have
had that.
So I was told it's even better than Fru, and it turns out I can get it in San Antonio. So
I had no idea. I've had it in Germany. I mean, I've had it in Cologne, but I had no idea you could get it in the States.
yeah, it's very, very selective distribution.
Can you give me some?
Of course. So I'm going to go to San Antonio. It's at that Central Market off Broadway near the zoo.
I'll take 2 6-packs.
Okay. Well, if they have, listen, I'll give you what I don't take. Okay. Because I doubt that the store carries that much of it. So we'll see. It's like that one time, what did I bring you? And you were so pissed because I only brought you like 4 and you're like, you couldn't even make it a 6-pack. And I was like, listen, buddy, I could only get 2 6-packs.
Well, let me give you a beer list before you leave.
Oh yeah. Cause you want me to bring back Anchor's, Christmas. That's right. Yeah, you do. You need to text me your beer list, and James, you too, and I'll bring y'all some stuff from Austin when I come up in a couple of weeks. But anyways,
so how do you spell that?
S and then U with an umlaut, NNER.
We've actually had that before in Cologne, James, but it's kind of towards the end of the tour at night. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I remember that now.
Yeah.
I was told by a listener, he was like, listen, I know you love Fru. You would love this even more. It's the best. And you know how much we love when people say it's the best. So I have to at least try it. And I found a person who could distribute it, or who has distributed it in Central Texas, and it's in San Antonio. So just dumb luck that I'll get my hands on some, and we'll do a taste test.
Yeah, Central Market, they can get their hands on beers that you would never guess.
I know. I love it.
And listeners, always remember Christmas beers. The address is 1800 EDC Parkway, Comanche, Texas, 76442. Attention, Todd Burns.
Please put Homebrew Happy Hour on there. Please don't put Todd Burns, because then we'll never get any. Even when you put Homebrew Happy Hour, he actually takes it anyway. Oh, and people were asking me I just now received it's been here for a couple weeks, but it was in Todd's office of the gluten-free grain from Grain for Grain. So I'm going to have go on our Instagram, instagram.com/homebrew happy hour. And I'm going to make pancakes this weekend with the mix. And I told Yoni I would give them my honest review. So I already told him, look, almond flours, tortillas, I've tried to erase from my memory. So if it's that bad of an experience, I'm going to tell everybody, like, listen, they're not pancakes. They're a monstrosity or something. But he said, no, you're gonna
the gluten free.
Yeah, he said, no, you're gonna love it. So we're gonna see. I'm interested in trying it. But anyway, moving on. I digressed way too much. So thank you, Ryan, for submitting your question. This is a great time to remind you, when we take your question on a future episode, we will give you a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com, courtesy of Mr. Todd Burns. Thank you, my friend. So second question came from our buddy Avery, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com, and she wrote, my boyfriend listens to your show and proudly wears your sweatshirt most days. It's cute. I'm shopping for him right now, and I know I should get him something beer related because he's been such a passionate beer guy ever since I've known him. I don't know a bunch about what he already has, but I know we have a kegerator in our kitchen with 2 taps on it. Do you have any suggestions for what I should get my boyfriend who brews? Thanks, Avery. He's got to marry her. She let them put a kegerator in the kitchen. Like, my wife.
Yeah, she took the time to submit a question too. So
that too. But the fact that her boyfriend, I don't know your name, boyfriend. Take this one serious. My wife would kill me if I try to put a kegerator in our kitchen. They don't, obviously, they probably don't have kids. Just, you can't do that. I just don't know how this guy's getting away with this. It's mind blowing.
My wife bought me a kegerator before I started Keg Connection, and we put it in the kitchen. I'm telling you, marry that one.
Yes.
So I think that we get this question a lot this time of the year where, spouses or sons or daughters or friends are calling in and they're like, I know that he makes his own beer. And sometimes they'll say, oh, he uses Mr. Beer. And we guide them towards like a mini mash kind of equipment kit. Or I know he extracts, and what else can we do? And maybe we go, oh, well, maybe he'd enjoy getting into all grain or something. We don't have a whole lot about him. So let's just do some generalized, like, he brews his own beer and he loves craft beer. I think it was an appropriate question to take also because I'll start this off and tie it to our show sponsor this week. A beer sign would be a great gift for a beer lover. They don't pay me to say that. I'm just saying that. But a beer sign is a safe bet because if you know his favorite brewery, and even if it's not through Tin Tackers, but even though go to tintackers.com, use promo code homebrewer, even if it's not through Tin Tackers, I'd like a cool beer sign. I've got my pop some from local breweries, like light up ones. Best present ever. I'm telling you, he loved them. I think now the light up ones and all that get considerably more expensive, but he's going to probably give you a wedding ring soon if you're letting him do beer stuff. So it'll work itself out. I promise you. But Todd,
another thing too is we're just about to start a 15% off store ride promo. And we have lots of things. But if you're not really sure, don't hesitate to call. And you can ask for me. I'm not in all the time, but you can always ask for me. And I could ask you questions about how he brews, or James. And I could ask you some questions about what he brews. And maybe we could find a kit or find something that he doesn't, a cool toy that he doesn't have yet. Let us know if we can help you in some way.
Like me, every Christmas, everybody knew I loved craft beer and I loved brewing, but I never got any craft beer and I never got any brewing kits, none of that. And I'm like, I can give you advice, whatever it's related to beer, whether it be kits or even if you went in and you got, if you found some limited reserve craft beer of anything like that, I think guarantee you he'll love.
I agree with that. And also that reminded me, Todd, if she doesn't call, a safe bet would always be a gift card to either the local homebrew supply shop, kegconnection.com, or homebrewsupply.com. Gift cards are the way of saying, I know what you're into, but I don't know what you...
True. A gift card would be very good. And one last plug before we let go of this one. If things don't work out with you two, and I hope they do, but if they don't, James is single. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
I got Avery's email, James. Look, I'll just forward it to you, okay? And you can just reach out. She seems like a lovely lady. She probably doesn't even listen to this show. She was just like, he wears your stupid sweatshirt, which also please tag us, guys. If y'all got,
Yeah.
we've sold almost 100 of these. Oh wait, I'm wearing my birds aren't real sweatshirt. The sweatshirt with the German guy on it, and it says Homebrew Happy Hour, der best Podcast aller Zeiten, which means the best podcast ever, according to Google Translate. And we've sold almost 100 of them now. And every now and then I'll get someone sending me a photo of like, hey, look what I got. And I'm like, oh, your poor family. Your poor family.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got to give a shout out to Mark. He'll know why I'm sending him this. So just so you know, it's in there with the correction.
Nice. Mark D, our buddy who military Mark or different Mark?
Different Mark.
Oh, okay. We have
James didn't want to talk about it. Can we move on?
I love that. And that's actually that I should mention, we've run out of hats for our things here. We need to get more hats ordered, but I didn't know, because we've been adding so many people to our Patreon, specifically to the top 2 tiers that get the premium welcome pack and the recipe kits and all that. Joe hit me up like a week ago, like, dude, we're out of tote bags. Dude, we're out of hats. Dude, I was like, oh my God.
I think we should do a Homebrew Happy Hour hat.
Yeah.
I would love that.
It's a great logo, and we could have the name on there. That'd be a cool hat.
It would be. I agree.
Yeah.
We should. And the guy who does it here in town, You Print It, is, I believe, the company name. Who did
You Name It?
You Name It. Thank you. And those hats, the CM Becker hats, James, I know you're on Instagram actively. You see, I mean, people wear them because they're very high quality.
Yeah.
They're very high quality. And I'm impressed every time. Even Lorena's husband, Robert, who he's also a Bob, her pop was a Bob too. It's his favorite hat. Every photo that they ever take and she posts on Facebook, I see that hat and I always have to comment, nice hat. That's a nice hat. It's a nice.
That'll get the right kind of hat. People will wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I'll have to get your help, James, because you're a lot better at hat person.
Yeah, I have to.
Oh, shut up. Both of y'all have beautiful hair. Look, let me pull up my, no, I'm not. My
What was that little tuft there?
That's all it is I have one tuft in the front. All right, let's move on. Thank you so much.
Wait. You got, speaking of hair, show him your new dog.
Oh, well, he's asleep over there on the.
He's got the cutest lab puppy
I can hold on a second. Here we go. You two people can see he's over there, and he's not pissing everywhere. So I'm happy. And he eats for 5 minutes. He plays really intensely for 20 minutes. He goes and poops on Todd's floor. He comes and pees in this hallway, and then he sleeps for 2 hours. Rinse and repeat all day.
That's a life.
And I made a comment like that on Facebook, and Todd's the first one. He goes, "It sounds a lot like you." And when you comment like that, I have family that are like, "That's your boss, right? That's your boss." I was like, "Oh yeah, oh it is." Anyway, Avery, thank you so much for submitting your question. And again, I can't stress enough that I always appreciate when people close to me, my wife or my kids, but they're not old enough yet. But when people know what you're interested in and want to get you that kind of gift, that's cool. That means you care.
Yeah, it means they're paying attention.
It means they're paying attention. Exactly. So I'm sure Avery, he's going to appreciate whatever you get, but really do take Todd and James up on their offer. Call here and they will absolutely get more details and help you out, because they live for this kind of stuff. I forward so many people to y'all because y'all live for it, and because I'm a schmuck who my recommendations like, oh, I don't know, and here's Todd's number. So anyway, moving on to our third question of the show, came from Bart W, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Bart wrote in, "'Tis the season for spending all of my money. I'm looking at getting a conical fermenter, and I wonder if being able to apply pressure is a must-have feature for you guys. Some of the more affordable tanks aren't rated for holding pressure, yet I'm not convinced it's a killer feature. Can you convince me otherwise? Keep up the great work, Bart." We have experience with both kinds. James's long-running fermentator from Blickman is in there, and it does fantastic at what it does, and then the CF15, which is rated for pressure. James,
yeah, it's amazing.
If you can go back in time and the CF15 had existed, would you get it over a tank that can't hold pressure?
I would choose a tank that you could put pressure to over a tank that you can't any day of the week. Because what's super cool about it is not only being able to move the beer into kegs, You can also carbonate it while it's setting, and you can use it as a serving tank as well. It's really cool. And Todd and I were talking about this the other day, and that's one of those no-brainers.
Yeah, you got to have it. It's the only downside of them, James, is that when you have the beer carbonated in your fermenter, sometimes you don't get very much beer in your keg.
The yield drops, right? And you're like, how does the yield drop?
Yeah, the yield can really drop from daily testing to see how your beer's coming on.
Oh, man. So I could just see me and my dad getting a CF15 and now me getting pissed at him for that. Like, Dad, how did we not be able to keg the full keg? He's like, I don't know, son. I didn't take any to poker.
It is so nice to carbonate that beer.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put 5 gallons of Kolsch in a keg for you sometime this weekend. And when I do that, it's not going to be carbonated because it's in a glass carboy. It's a pain. But you'll still take it, right?
Oh, heck yeah. Yep.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
You can do it nice and easy. You don't have to sit there and rock it on your knee. That's what's cool. Set it and forget it. It's awesome.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Blickman has not come out yet with the tank that can hold pressure, right? Like it's coming soon, but it's not out yet.
Right.
That has been. It seems like that's been standard practice for most conicals being released in the last couple of years. Is hey, and they're not even that highly rated. What do they go up to? Like 8 or 12? They don't even go up to 12.
15 is the. Isn't it 15 on the?
15 is the pop off. There's a safety valve on the. Splunding valve, I guess is what they call it, on the spike conical, the CF15 that we have, and it's preset at 15 PSI, and it'll blow.
15 is perfect because you can set it. I usually have it about 10 to 12, and I leave it on there so long that it's carbonated to that or really close to carbonated that by the time I keg it. Yep. So it works out really well.
So then,
and it's got an extra large bottom, so you can reclaim the yeast a little easier than the one that I have. The bigger conical that we have, it's the hole's a 1/2 inch size pipe thread, but this it's really easy to reclaim the yeast. Although I rarely do. I always, every time I pour I do a 15-gallon batch and I shoot the yeast in a bucket and throw it out. I can feel James on my shoulder. You can use that again.
Yeah. Well, James is a waste not kind of person. I mean, I like that about it because I know I am lazy to where I'm like, I don't need to save it. I'm going to pitch just another a pack of Imperial. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, James, I'm going to put this dunkel right on top of the yeast cake that I'm fixing to keg, 3 full kegs of this.
That's awesome.
The Czech pills, the dark pills, and then I'll just pump it right on top of that yeast cake, and it'll be done fermenting by Monday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I have the right amount of numbers, and then I'm going to do one more on top of it.
Well, and you do this to plug for Imperial. You do it because of the confidence you have in that yeast to the viability, repitch after repitch after repitch, right? Like it makes it easier.
Well, y'all remember the Kolsch test? We did 5, and they were really good beer. It's if you have the ability to reclaim the yeast and more importantly wash and rinse yeast. I don't really do that because it takes a lot of time and I'm lazy sometimes. But if you can just pump right, this is what I did with the.
It's really hard to do when you just pump it right on top of when you take.
Yeah, exactly. We did the was it the Maybach or was it the Fest beer? I can't remember, but we did that, and I used fresh yeast then, and then I did another pumped on top of it, my smash pills, and then I did that James Brown lager, and I used the same yeast. And
that lager's good.
Oh, it was so good, dude. Oh, it was so good. Yeah, that was another one I was pissed at. I knew that the keg was low at Todd's, and I didn't realize he had so many guests from Thanksgiving to me coming back up here. Otherwise, I would have maybe snuck the keg out or done something. That James Brown lager was incredible. But yeah, I hate being short with your question, Bart, but I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be a game changer if you get the one that holds pressure.
Yep.
You won't regret buying it.
You won't,
for sure.
and like I said too, I think it's been standard. Even Blitzman, they're coming out with one. So like if he has his mind made up on a brand, and that brand happened to be Blitzman, just give him a little bit, and they're going to come out with it. But we can wholeheartedly recommend the CF line from Spike, and their Flats line if you're doing smaller batches and you don't need the future proof for growth. Their Flats are reasonably priced. And they have all the bells and whistles on them as well, or you can get them that way. Anvil is also, which is part of Blitzman, coming out with conicals, but I don't know if their new ones, they're very affordable. Like the 14-gallon is only like,
yeah, they're not, you can't pressure.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I didn't think you could, but if you're trying to stay budget wise, the new Anvils one looked like a good bang for your buck. But yeah, I forgot they don't hold pressure. So if you can make it in your budget, you will not be disappointed. It is game changing. Get yourself that. If you don't have temperature control, get glycol, and then boom, it's going to be magic.
That's even better.
It's going to be magic for the rest of your brewing life. But anyways, thank you so much for submitting the question, my friend. We have one more for this week's episode. Then I'll let y'all be on y'all's merry way. Came from our buddy Ed M, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Ed wrote, "Hello, gents. I'm new to brewing, but I found your show on Stitcher, and I'm excited to be a part of your Patreon community now. Your recipe kits have been well received in my home, so thank you for that. Currently, I am brewing 5-gallon extract batches, but I am considering making the leap to all-grain brew in a bag. My question: why exactly do recipes for brew in a bag call for the grains to be twice or double milled? I think I understand that the grains will be in a bag, so I don't have to worry about any creeping through the bag, but I'd like to understand the why of it all. If I do brew in a bag, does this mean I won't need a system with a false bottom either? Any guidance is appreciated. Cheers, Ed." I have no experience with brewing a bag or milling. So what like James with brewing a bag, I don't know the answer to the second part, if he'll need a false bottom, because the false bottom is to keep stuff. Yeah,
it's to create the false bottom is so that you let the liquid pass and it lets the grains create a filter bed, so to speak, at the bottom. If you're using a brew in the bag, you don't need a false bottom, because it's going to trap all the grains, the spent grains. The reason why they ask for a double mill is a lot of times the brew in a bag people, they squeeze the bag. So they're not concerned with our 3-vessel Herm setup, we have to be concerned about circulation. So as we all know, if you grind that finer into a finer powder, it's just going to clomb to the bottom of the false bottom, and you won't have circulation. So brew in the bag people, that's not a concern. I don't know if I would, and the double milled is supposed to increase the efficiency of the grain, so you get a little bit more percentage of sugars than you wouldn't get with a Herms setup. But I don't know if I would push efficiency and risk. One, you may not be able to get all of that out of that bag. If it protein locks the inside that bag, finer grains can cause that to happen. I'm not a big fan of squeezing anything out. I know we talked to a guy at HomebrewCon one year that actually makes those bags, and he says he presses really hard and gets as much liquid out of that as possible. But I never thought that was a good idea.
It seems like it'd be hard for consistency, maybe, because you can't. I mean, in regards to replicating the same beer every single batch, just because it would. I don't know. I guess maybe some calculators can tell you the best practice of doing it. I just mean, if you're applying pressure, it's hard to probably replicate the exact amount that you're able to do every batch with that same. Does that make sense, Todd? You're looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's fine.
No, that's just how you look at me? Okay.
Well, I think me personally, we're talking about the roller gap, and
yes.
I think 35 thousandths is perfect, ideal for regular brewing. An easy way to do it would be 3 business cards. That's going to put you right at 40 thousandths. But, I've used it both. 35 to 40 thousandths seems to work great. It leaves enough of the hull intact to where it establishes a grain bed, and then you don't push efficiency and risk circulation issues if you go below that. But a lot of people that do brew in a bag, they'll go all the way down to 25 thousandths.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's around 2 business cards. And you wouldn't think that makes a big difference, but anybody with a Herm system, and Todd, you can back me up on this, 5 thousandths difference on the rollers could make a difference between having good circulation and having to add rice hulls. So
we got a new grain mill, and it's
so nice.
Our new grain mill is wonderful. I mean, it is so. I like it so much better than the old one, and it's doing a much better job. But when we first got it, we may have had it. We were kind of putting it where we were with the old one, but the old one had grooves in it, and it wasn't grinding the same, and it was a little too fine. But where we have it now, I'm not even sure you need to double mill with that new grain mill. But
we moved one click up.
Yeah,
no circulation issues whatsoever. Now, I did, for just added safety, I put some rice hulls in there, but it hasn't even. I've got full circulation. Even when I got up and checked it, so it's doing really well.
Who makes this new grain mill that we have, so we can give them a shout out? Because Todd, you've been
Blackman, but it's a commercial. It's from their commercial series. We don't sell it. It's their commercial grain mill. It's wonderful. It would have to be very small commercial because it's not that big, but I like it so much better than our old one.
It'll hold 60 pounds. It's got a 60-pound grain hopper.
It wasn't cheap, I'll tell you that. Really good.
You know what I like the most about it? I think just sitting in your office having a meeting and not having the roof sound like it's about to collapse. When you
having a jet airplane take off over your head.
Yeah, but
it doesn't produce near as much dust either.
Really?
It's got a sock that comes down that extends down into the grain bucket.
That's awesome.
And it doesn't produce near as much flour in the air as the other grain mill.
Yeah, we don't get the dust anymore.
Is there a reason why we've never done brew in a bag collectively, any one of us, since I've known you, at least James, and Todd, since I've known you? When I hear like brew in a bag, I always feel bad when I get questions from people just because I have no advice at all or input. I've never done it. It seems like it'd be easier.
It's just a simpler way.
It seems more straightforward. Like, is it a shorter brew day? I mean, cleanup's got to be shorter.
Okay.
With brew in the bag, you don't do a sparge. So
with
it's simple.
I guess with calculators, because in 10, 15 years ago, before we all had supercomputers in our pocket, or before the proliferation where we could all afford supercomputers in our pockets, it seems like it would have been a lot harder to brew consistently good beer. But I guess with like grain, I could go on Brewer's Friend and tell them everything I plan on doing using brew in a bag, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to spit out like, here's what you do, and here's the volume you need, and don't do sparge and this and that and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, I say you don't have to do a sparge. I would if I was doing brew in a bag, because I did before years ago when I was using a got water cooler. But majority of people that do brew in a bag, they don't do a sparge. They just put everything they need, their water and their quantity or volume is all in one thing. The grains are in a bag. They steep it and then pull them out.
I mean, just to clarify, when you say you would do a sparge, I think what you mean is you would rinse the grains and just rinse it a little bit.
That's correct. Yeah, I would rinse the grains, which basically is what a sparge you're doing. Is you're rinsing the sugars through the grains. Yeah. And I did that before. I would just have somebody hold the bag up with the mouth open, and then I would pour, kind of like what we do with the grain father when we lift the basket up. So I would have
that on extract brew too. I mean, I always rinsed it a little bit when I took the bag out. So.
It's a good idea. I mean, there's sugars. You can't argue the fact that there's got to be sugars left in that bag of grain that you would want to get out. I would.
Maybe we could do a brew day in 2021, like in January. Well, the three of us, let's do a brew day, like maybe a live stream for Patreon, and do a brew in a bag as one of them. Obviously, the three.
We could use our cooler brew to do.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we could do. We could brew. We'll do a double brew day, because I don't like doing brew days and y'all not using Todd's 3-tier that you built, because what a travesty to not use it and just let it sit there while we're brewing on something else.
Yeah, let's do that, and we'll have 25 gallons of beer that day. I like that.
Exactly. Because Todd. Well, because your kegerator was depressing when I came over, and I know you did that because I was coming over. I know, I'm on to you. I know exactly. You have beer somewhere. Even his beer fridge.
Yeah, I was last night before you got there. I was. I gotta drink
your beer fridge is empty too. Like what the heck? I got to bring you beer back now. And
James is giving me a keg. I have a keg that's coming out.
Yes.
That'll give me 2 kegs, and then I'm doing January again.
Oh, so I'm going to have plenty of beer
I'm
when I come
not
up.
doing January.
I'm not doing. I did sober October, and I've already put double that weight that I lost back on.
No, you won't have plenty because I'm going to drink all the beer before January.
Oh no, you're right. This is only like the 4th of December, isn't it? Oh no. Oh yeah.
Somebody left some Clara or some that real light Mexican beer, something Clara, and then there's a couple of other beers. I'm going to leave you those.
You're such a gentleman. I appreciate it. Ed, thank you so much. And yeah, I think that would be a good idea if we do a brew in a bag brew day, and we'll come up with the date. It'll have to be in January. You can brew. You're not drinking, but you can still brew, Todd. And we'll have that might be good.
I plan on brewing. I'm going to brew 4 times so I can fill my kegerator up
for when February comes. Exactly. So, anyways, that does it for this week, guys. I really appreciate y'all taking the time out of, because it has been a crazy week from Black Friday. I'm preaching to the choir with James. My week has not been that stressful. I had some bonbons on Monday, got my feet rubbed on Tuesday, but James has just been over the moon.
Oh, we all have. Yeah.
It's been a crazy week. So I appreciate y'all, even though it's calm, y'all taking the time to do the show. So I appreciate it, guys. And I'll see y'all next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, tintackers.com, for supporting us and the home brewing community. Visit Tintackers, that's TINTACKERS.com, and use our promo code HOMEBREWER to get $10 off your order of $30 or more. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.